What up YouTube, Salvador Brigman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel. Also the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast, and I also run crowdcrux.com, which is a blog and website where you can learn about crowdfunding, Kickstarter, advice, tips, etc. So today, with this video, I want to get into the differences between crowdfunding and equity crowdfunding. If you're trying to raise money from the crowd or you want to get funding for your company, which should you go with? Which platform, which type of funding is best for you? As a company, as an individual, depending on the type of funding you're seeking, you're going to either want to go with traditional crowdfunding or equity crowdfunding. And I hope by the end of this video, you have a clearer sense of that and also what you should be doing going forward for your financial raise. So let's talk first a bit. Let's talk about crowdfunding in general. You know, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, that's usually what I think of. If you're trying to use traditional crowdfunding, usually you're either a company that has developed a new kind of a product. Could be a design product, could be a gadget or a gizmo, maybe it's a fashion line. You have some kind of a product, even if that product is like a film or a board game or some kind of a game that people can play with. This is what I usually think of, or at least the people that I talk with when they do a crowdfunding campaign. There's sort of like this whole other section of crowdfunding that I would label more of like nonprofit crowdfunding or personal crowdfunding that you might associate with Give Forward, Generosity, GoFundMe, that style of crowdfunding. I'm not going to be talking too much about that. In terms of like nonprofit crowdfunding, you might be thinking of Razoo or CauseVox or Classy, some of these nonprofit-centric donor tools to help you raise money from the crowd. I'm also not going to be focusing too much on that in this video. I do have some books out there on Amazon, both on personal crowdfunding and on nonprofit crowdfunding if you are interested in exploring either of those. I'm more focused on if you are a business, you're a startup company, and you want to raise money from the crowd, you're probably doing that on either Kickstarter or Indiegogo. And when you do a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo campaign, I'm sure you've researched this already a little bit. You have a funding duration, you have a funding goal. The whole idea is to rope people in and get them interested in this new project, and to use the funding that you raise from the crowd to actually fund either the initial production run of the product or to go out there and actually make this product that you're saying you want to make, this board game, and really get it into the hands of the backers, get it into the hands of the people that are supporting you with this crowdfunding campaign. So that's Kickstarter and Indiegogo when we're thinking about traditional crowdfunding. When we're thinking about equity crowdfunding, there are so many different types out there. I have another great blog post and a great video on equity crowdfunding if you are interested in learning more about that. But basically, there's Regulation A+, there's a Regulation D offering, there's Title III of the Jobs Act or a Regulation crowdfunding offering. So there are a lot of different types of equity crowdfunding. So it's very easy to get quickly confused when you're thinking of equity crowdfunding. You're thinking about raising money from the crowd in that way. With this video, I'm going to give you some very stark differences between the two and also some similarities. So the first one is the difference between equity crowdfunding and traditional crowdfunding is what you're offering to the public. When you're doing an equity crowdfunding campaign, you're offering shares of your company to the public. When people support this crowdfunding campaign, they're actually buying in, they're getting a slice of the pie. They're becoming investors in your company with an equity crowdfunding campaign. So there are a whole bunch of legal ramifications and things that you need to be aware of when you're offering securities to the public, at least in America. So that's something to be aware of. When you're talking about a traditional crowdfunding campaign, people are not owning shares of your business. They're not gaining ownership in your company. Instead, when they give money or they pledge to your campaign, basically what they're saying is, hey, I really like this idea that you came up with. I want to help support this. I want to own one of these products once it's available to the general public. Therefore, by pledging money to your campaign, not only am I supporting the creation of this product, but also when you are done creating this product, you've done mass producing it, you're actually going to ship one of these out to me. So it functions as sort of a pre-order rather than owning shares in a company as you would think of with equity crowdfunding. These people are getting cool products in the mail. They're early adopter customers. They're able to brag to their friends. They also have the cool knowing that they actually supported an entrepreneur and gave him his start. Those are the sort of the rewards that come with traditional crowdfunding. When it comes to equity crowdfunding, your rewards are, well, yeah, I supported an entrepreneur, and like, yeah, they're gonna go out there and create cool things, but I also am going to own a portion of their financial success. I'm going to be an owner in their business. So you're not only evaluating, do I want to own this product? It's also, is this business going to do well over time? Am I going to make more money in the future as a result of supporting this project? So I would say bread and butter, like that's one of the major differences here between these two types of crowdfunding. Now, there are many similarities. Don't get me wrong. Similarities in terms of each type of crowdfunding, you're going to need to disclose a tremendous amount of information about your business. You can't just go out there on Kickstarter or Indiegogo and be like, yo, bro, I want funding from the crowd for this really cool idea that I have. And you don't have anything to show people. You don't have a prototype, you don't have mock-ups, you don't have anything in the way of showing people what they're buying into. You're not going to get funding. You have to have a team in mind that's going to be able to actually create this product. You have to have the prototype. You have to have sketches and mock-ups. You have to have an effective marketing video that shares with people why you're so freaking passionate about this product. Why you? Tell them a little bit about your story and who you are. Give them some trust and credibility elements so they can actually buy into your project. And also, you have just the campaign text, which kind of functions a little bit as a sales page, but also is very honestly sharing with people, what are your deadlines? How long is this going to take to actually make this product? Where's the funding going? You're using the actual campaign page to educate people, to persuade them a little bit, and to let them in on this project that you're going to be creating. So you have a pitch video, you have the campaign text, and you also have the reward tiers, is what they're called. They're called perks or rewards that people gain access to once they actually pledge money to your crowdfunding campaign. So those are the three hallmarks of a traditional crowdfunding campaign. It's very similar to equity crowdfunding. There are different levels where you can invest in a project. You need a pitch video. You need to disclose information about the company's officers, who's on the board of directors, who are these people that are involved in the project. You have to share about the story. You have to sell the vision of the company and the product, and this vision you're going to be working day and night to achieve, and why you're so passionate about that. So you're also going to have a lot of communication and a lot of marketing that goes into the actual campaign with equity. So I would say, talking about the second point, that is a big similarity between the two. There's a lot of disclosure in the way of the amount of information that you have to put out there to the crowd if you actually want to raise money using one of these two platforms. Now, on the same vein of thought here, I think a big misnomer or a big myth in the crowdfunding industry is like, yo, I can just put up a campaign and people are going to magically fund it. That's kind of like as ignorant as me thinking that just because I'm talking to this video camera, people are going to find my video. There's a lot of marketing that has to go into an actual campaign. There's a lot of marketing that has to go into also a quality YouTube video. It's the same thing. When you come to a crowdfunding campaign, it's not only assembling all of this information that we went over previously, it's not only actually making a really cool product that solves a real problem in the world, it's also how do you effectively communicate that to people? How do you rope people in? How do you get them to join your email list leading up to the launch of this campaign? How do you build up your social media cloud so you have people already, a crowd of people you can announce this project to when it does go live on Kickstarter or Indiegogo? When it comes to equity crowdfunding on Start Engine, on WeFunder, on Seed Invest, if you have a crowd of people and you do some marketing, you're far more likely to see success in both realms of crowdfunding. So that is another similarity, is you need a marketing plan for getting the word out there about your crowdfunding raise or your crowdfunding offering. So let's talk about another stark difference between equity crowdfunding and more traditional crowdfunding. So for the actual entrepreneur going through this process, it's very important to be aware of the costs that are associated with funds. So funds are not free. There's no such thing as free money. There's always a cost associated with that money that you actually raise from the public. aside from like maybe a donation, there really is not free money. When it comes to traditional crowdfunding like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, while yes, people are opening up their wallets and they're giving you their hard-earned dollars and they're supporting you and they're buying into your vision, at the same time, they are expecting something back in return. So there are costs that go into a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo campaign. That includes things like marketing, that includes actually shipping out the rewards, fulfilling the rewards, manufacturing these items. That also goes into creating the video, creating a really effective pitch video, all of the costs that are associated with a campaign. You can probably expect, after all is said and done, to maybe net 10% in profit. Anywhere from 10 to 15% I think would be amazing for a crowdfunding campaign. A lot of people will actually do a Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign, not for the profit, but for the actual crowd that they build. You get a lot of media attention by doing one of these campaigns. So that's one of the reasons why people do it. In addition to the media attention, you also are introduced to partners. You're introduced to people who might then carry your store in their retail outlet, or people, better manufacturing partners that want to help you out, or distributors, etc. So doing a public Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign is great because it connects you with lots and lots of partners, because it gives you a tremendous sense of, I guess, a demand for your product. It lets you and your team know people want this product. It makes sense to spend time on this business idea. It also is going to do a lot in the way of media attention. So there are a lot of different benefits that go into a campaign, but there are also those costs associated. With an equity crowdfunding raise, the costs are mainly going to be the marketing related to the campaign and the onerous legal and reporting requirements that go into a raise. So let's just say you're doing a Regulation A+ equity crowdfunding campaign. You're doing a a Tier 2 under Regulation A+, Tier 2, Title 4 of the Jobs Act. You're doing this type of financial raise. Well, when you're doing that raise, you can expect to spend anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 to even $70,000 on things like legal fees, accounting fees, audited financials, etc. So you're spending a lot of money to actually do one of these equity crowdfunding raises. So rather than spending money on like fulfilling your rewards, you're actually spending money on mainly complying with the various legal requirements and filing requirements and making sure you do the raise correctly. And finally, marketing that project. So that gives you a sense in the way of some of the similarities and differences there with the costs associated. Now, the final thing I want to close out this video is what is best for you. If you're trying to think of, should I do crowdfunding? Is this a good decision for you? I want to give you an idea of the types of companies that I think are good for an equity crowdfunding raise versus a traditional crowdfunding raise on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. So with Kickstarter and Indiegogo, you tend to see a lot of board games, you tend to see a lot of design products like watches and wallets and these types of things. You see fashion products. You also see a lot in the way of technology, gadgets, and gizmos that do really, really well on Kickstarter. When it comes to films, it comes to publishing projects, these people tend to raise more money from their own crowd rather than actually tapping into the marketplace or the ecosystem of Kickstarter or Indiegogo. And in addition, for these larger companies, they're just too big for Kickstarter. You know, they don't have a product that really appeals enough to the indie creator that they're going to get interest on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. So if you're fit into any of those categories, I think it is worth exploring a campaign on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. When it comes to equity crowdfunding, if you're more of a startup company doing like a web app or a mobile app, or you're an established company trying to look for some funding to actually fuel the expansion and scaling your business, then I think it really pays to look into equity crowdfunding. Not to say like there is some crossover here, but just my own, from looking at lots of different projects and campaigns, I tend to see it sort of fall into these two camps of people. And finally, it comes down to what is best for you and what you are looking for with one of these raises. Are you looking for more of the money to scale your business? Or are you looking more for the publicity and attention and these early adopter customers, which maybe in the future you can sell more products to? That's really what it comes down to with crowdfunding versus equity crowdfunding. So again, my name is Salvador Brigman. If you are interested more in equity crowdfunding, I'm going to be releasing a guide that is a comprehensive overview of equity crowdfunding. It's going to go into everything that you need to know if you're interested in that, and I'll link you up down below if you want to join the interest list for when I release this guide. If you're more interested in crowdfunding in general, I have a lot of videos on this YouTube channel, so you can dive in there and search out some of the videos I have on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. Again, my name is Sal, and I'll see you next time.